Hey, Isaac Kotek here, aka Subaqueous, and in this video we're going to be making a classic sounding deep house stab sound. I freaking love this type of sound, and let's check it out in Ableton Live. So here's a stab. I just love this style of stab. Let's hear it in context of a track. And also with the wavetable, I can do things like change this filter, make it smaller, or open it up. Oh yeah. Sweet. The rest of this video, we're going to make this step by step. If you want to grab this for free and a bunch of other wavetables, check out the link below and let's build this DIY style. Here we are in live, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that old wavetable. We're going to build it from scratch. I'm actually just going to keep these effects. I'll go over them a little bit later. But I want to go ahead and grab my instrument wavetable, throw that in. To make it easy, I'm just going to open this up so I can see all the oscillators and everything right here. And I like to start with setting up the oscillators, and I like getting the filters and everything correct. So first thing, oscillator 1, I'm going to set to retro. And on retro, I'm going to go with a resonance 2. There we go. And let's just hear what that sounds like. Nice. I really like what happens with this when you move through the wavetables. And I'm going to keep this down pretty low, around 6%, 7%, somewhere around there. I'm going to change this effects mode right here to modern, and we're going to slightly warp this to 7.8 to 8. Sounds great. It just gives it a little more harmonics to play with. I just like the sound of it a little better for what we're going for. Now on oscillator 2, I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to set it to a vintage. So we're going with this vintage retro sound. And I'm going to go with, the first one. What is that? Birds dual saw. Going somewhere around there for the sound, and it's super plingy, right? Very, very loud and plucky right in your face. So we're going to do some things to kind of chill this out and make the sound we want. Which, next thing I'm going to look at is right here with that filter, so it's not so sharp. I'm going to change the filter type from clean over to OSR and 24, which just means it's a sharper cut. I'm going to keep this resonance. I'm actually going to turn up quite a bit to 50%. And my drive, I'm going to go up just a little bit. Now, if I turn up this drive, I'm probably going to have to turn down my volume because it's driving it up by 8 decibels. So this needs to go down to make up for that. Nice. Now let's look at the envelopes to set up the filter frequency to move as we play it to get a nice pluck sound. So on filter frequency, I'm going to go to envelope 2, and I'm going to put this all the way to 100%. So with this envelope, I can actually create this plucky sound with the way that it opens the filter, where right now if it's up at the top, it's going to be all the way up, and if I bring this down, it's going to bring down the filter. So see how this is, I'm not using the amp, this is just the filter that's changing that. So if I bring this up, there we go. Now we have this nice little pluck sound right at the beginning. It's very short and precise. Envelope 3, I'm not going to do anything there, but I am going to set the oscillator 1 warp. I'm just going to click that. It shows up in my matrix. I'm going to put this up to around 30%, 36. And that way it just adds a little bit of movement right there. Next thing is I'm going to work with the LFOs. We're going to do some automation right there. So LFO 2, I'm going to set to this very cool technique of making it random. So basically, I'm going to take this LFO 2, set it to this random right here, and then I'm going to put the rate down to 0, well, 0.01. And you just see a straight line, right? Well, that line, it's trying to show you that there's these different increments of randomization happening. But if we have it set as low as we can, we basically get one randomized parameter where, let's say it goes -2, -7 the next time you play it. And the time after that, it goes to +20. So it's randomizing whatever this is going to be mapped to, but it stays at that value. Where if I increase this, it would randomize and then randomize moving the value every 2.52 hertz. So that's not what we want. We just want to randomize it each time that we start this sound. So bring it to 0. And then on LFO2, we're going to set it to the oscillator 1 position. We'll turn that up to 50%. That's great. And then the oscillator 2 position, I'm just going to click that there to show it. And then we're going to go down just a little bit to -11. Now what you'll see is each time I play a note, see how it's jumping around a little bit? That's because of that randomization with this LFO. I really like that because it makes every single hit unique, which just gives it a lot more life and movement, emulates reality a little bit more than just a straight same sound every time you press a note. Now this patch really isn't going to work the way I want it to unless I add some effects. The first one being this minor chord. So if I turn this on, what it's doing is the MIDI note comes in, and you can just go over to MIDI effects and go over to chord and drag that in. So you can even just grab major chord, for instance. Fourth chord, these are different chords. Fifth chord, minor Tim. And I'm just going to go back to the major chord, but I'm actually going to make this a minor by bringing that to +3. Let's rename that minor. Now what it does is it takes a single note, I'm pressing the C note, and it lets that one pass through, but it also takes that same note and adds it another note, which is 3 steps up, and another note on top of that, which is 7 notes up, and that way it creates a chord. So now no matter what note I hit, it's a minor chord starting with whatever note I hit. Right? Really important when you're trying to go for that chord stab sound. You could play each note separately, but this is just a really easy way to get a good sound out of it. Then the two other important effects are a little reverb. And you can see these settings here. It's not all that important. It's just getting a reverb with a little bit of depth to it. So if I go to my audio effects and look at reverb, I can drag that plain one in. That's pretty good. I'm just going to put the low cut on. And that works pretty well. And lastly, we're going to turn this guy on to put on echo. And that is just the analog triplet dub. So you could always go to your audio effects, scroll over to echo, and let's just even put it in the browser. Analog triplet. It looks like it's under vintage delay. If I drag that in. And the only difference for me is I actually found in this particular track, I didn't want it in triplets, so I changed that. And then I also put it to 1/8. And now that we've got that, when we have our track, we can go ahead and automate things like this frequency. So and now we've got a really sweet sounding dubby kind of deep house style stab. There you go, that is making a classic deep house stab. You can download this for free with the link below. There's like a small pack of a few presets I put together around the house, deep house, techno genres. And if you want, I actually have a huge collection of wavetable presets, all designed to give you every tool you need in making floor to the floor music, like house, deep house, tropical, you name it. It's a great collection of tons of presets. Link will be in the description. It also comes with the live set that I've been playing right here with these beats and everything, as well as a few others, so you can just get inspired and have some sounds to work with. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. I'm gonna have a whole bunch of videos on house style presets using Ableton Live's Wavetable. Have fun making music, and see you later.